Hello, folks. This is Steve AB4L. You know, nothing in this episode is a promotion, nor is it a recommendation. One of my favorite tabs is Bleeping Computer. I have something rendering on another computer, and I just want to see if anything was happening today. I did something about the Dell break-in yesterday. And then there's this one here about Europol. Europol confirms web portal breach, says no operational data stolen. Europol, the European Union's law enforcement agency, confirmed that its Europol platform for experts portal was breached, and it is now investigating the incident after the threat actor claimed they had stolen for official use only documents containing classified data. And if you read down in this article, you see this right here? Well, it says when this article was published, that special police place where the experts from around the world get together and compare notes is still offline. Yeah, the article has a screenshot of this. Let me show you something about this. If you right-click, you can do something called page source. Here's the HTML opening. This is the title, site maintenance. There's just a little bit about the kind of style for the text. And then there's this thing right here. This is the way a digital picture is sent to your browser, and your browser knows how to turn that actually into a picture. And then there's just 2 lines of text. So if you count the encoding of the picture as 1 line, this website page now may have as many as 10 lines of HTML encoding. Why would they do it that way? The answer is there's nothing in this page that can be used to break in. There's no JavaScript or anything like that. It's a picture and 2 lines of text. There's nothing that a hacker can use to break in. And it's probably not even running on any of their servers that the actual portal runs on. They hired a server somewhere else for however long, and they just put this simple thing there as a shield that you can't break in. Now, if I were to look at this page from the Bleeping Computer, you can see the difference, okay? That's what I'm talking about. So as I'm reading this article, I'm going to show you one thing here. Here's the address of that simple web page. And what you need to know is .eu. That's a country code, European Union. .fr is France. .it is Italy. .uk is United Kingdom. .jp is Japan. So it's a simple address. EU, Europa, that means it's not one particular country in the European Union. And it is Europol. That's the police, and the very smallest subdomain is that portal. But I want you to notice the .eu. Let's go back to the Bleeping Computer article. This paragraph right here. The hard copy personnel records of Catherine de Bolle, Europol's executive director, and other senior agency officials had also leaked before September 2023, not necessarily by the same hackers, as reported by Politico in March. Now, when I was reading this, I assumed that that was Politico, the one I know, that's basically about Washington, D.C. Commentary on what's Congress doing, what's the president doing, what are state governments doing. So when I opened to go look, this came up. And I went, what the hell are they doing? This is not Politico. They don't do that. And I tried to make it go away. And I can't. And then I looked at the address. Now it's out of, see, this part here is the name of that page on their computer. And it's under the part that's known as articles. Okay, what's left? Politico.eu? Politico.eu? I thought it was Politico.com down in Washington, D.C. So that's why it looks like this. So if I just put that in, I get the front page of Politico with that on it. Now, watch. But this is what I know them as. All right? So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go COM. I took the EU off, and I changed it to COM. It's a different front page. Looks like Politico is in business in Europe too. I didn't know that. It says Slovakia. It says Italy, Poland, Dutch Euro version, Israel, cryptocurrency. So I just learned something. There is another Politico site, .eu. I didn't try this before, just for the fun of it. Let's see if they got one for Japan. Can't be reached, so it doesn't exist. Let's try NG for Nigeria. Can't be reached. Oh! Oh! I have tried this before. Politico.ng. I don't know if it's the same company. Now, because of the way hacking is done to fool you, a lot of smart on-the-web companies actually register a lot of names that are very similar to their name, because you might mistype it. Like, let's say we try to put two C's in there. I haven't tried this before. And it's really a bad guy, and they're in your computer, just because you mistyped it just slightly. So some smart companies also register in their own name what are known as typo squat sites, typo squats, to keep the bad guys from using the most obvious misspellings that you might type in accidentally. But that's not what we're talking about here. Now, let's go back to this. So if there's a politico.eu, and it really looks like Politico, except it's about European politics, I thought there's another website that's politics in the United States, especially Washington, D.C., it's called The Hill. Remember, I'm not promoting anything. So let's try thehill.eu. I don't know who Sado.com is. But if I wanted to typo squat on thehill.eu and make it look like it's a European version of the Washington, D.C., like Politico, I can buy that right now. Now, if it were to buy something that was meant to be in the United States, the guy intercepting, see, they've got a business interest. They've hooked themselves into the domain name service backbone, and when somebody types in a non-existent address in this case, Europe, EU, they jump in. I've shown you this in a video maybe 2 years ago. So I know what this is. I'm not worried about them. You see, as soon as I put it gives me Sado domains, Sado domain parking. Sado, domain parking, earn money with parked domains. What does that mean? Oh, if you buy like thehill.eu because they haven't thought to use it, but then they decide next year to expand like Politico does and have a European EU flavor, they're going to discard, oh, wait a minute, somebody already owns that. Well, I only want $10 million. I'll sell it to you for 10 million euros. Otherwise, you're going to have to use something that's not obvious for your website. Do you understand what I mean by not obvious? See, politico.eu is obvious part of offspring of politico.com. And I don't know if that politico.ng in Nigeria. Why did I pick Nigeria? Because it's a hotbed for web stuff, especially stealing. Yeah, the Nigerian stealers are famous. I might have contaminated my computer with that. So then let's pick another name, like New York Times EU. What did they just do to me? Let's try that again. Let's see what maybe I put the wrong thing in. I put the wrong thing in. Let me go back and do it correctly. See how easy it is? NewYorkTimes.eu, copy. NewYorkTimes.eu. You notice the delay? Let me show you something. NS lookup, NewYorkTimes.eu. You see it has an address. Somebody has already registered that address and been assigned an address. And I'll bet it's that sedo.eu people. So now we know that what's happened is that when I put in NewYorkTimes.eu, that is synonymous with, it goes to an address, a process that's at that address, and then it says, go to the advertising page. Same thing with the hill.edu. '91, 195, 241, 232. Both of those addresses are the same for the hill.edu and for NewYorkTimes.edu. They're aliases. They're registered aliases for the same final address, which is sedo.eu. But sedo.eu is 62.116. Remember how I told you it's a relay system? It's the first time I'm doing it, folks. So let's go back here. How about MSNBC? Yeah, I watch them all the time. What address is it? Let me copy it so you can see it. What did it do? MSNBC.edu is already a registered alias for msnbc.com. In the same sense as that one with the sedo having already done. Do you follow? You see what they're doing? Only this means the people who are helping MSNBC are smarter than those other websites. They're protecting them. I'm curious. Let's try Nigeria. I haven't tried this. NG. Can't be reached, so they're not worried about them. Let's try IT. Can't be reached. Oh, wait a minute, it's not finished. Can't be reached. Let's try JP. Can't be reached. Let's try NZ for New Zealand. All right? Now, this is the actual ABC News. It's on something called go.com. I remember that from years ago. So I'm just going to change this to EU. Your connection is not private. So there is a website that is abcnews.go.eu, and my browser protective mechanism intercepted me thinking I would go there, because the way things are these days, if it were a real site, it would have forced a encrypted connection, HTTPS, rather than just HTTP. But the redness up there says that there's no such thing as an HTTPS server answering for that address. There certainly is a website registered with a number for that, and whatever it is, it doesn't know how to do encryption. So right there, it's saying, be careful. I'm not going to go there. I'm just showing you these different things that are actually going on and how ragged a lot of things are out there. And think about all these big banks and all the government agencies and they're actually using this system that's as ragged as this. No wonder the hackers can get in. So one more. Let's try Washington Post. Just for fun. I wonder why it's taking so long to answer. That's not expected. Let's see if I'm making a mistake. It's I have Washington Post. Washington. Wait a minute, I got to spell it correctly. Oh, you got to spell it. But you notice that on these U.S. sites, at most, when they talk about we've got cookies, they might put it down the bottom and they have an X on it and you can just click on it and we don't care. But in the EU, the law is you have to formally acknowledge and choose the EU law. So for a real The Hill Politico.eu, they had to force you to answer before they let you use the site. But the US version doesn't do anything like that. So let's turn the .com into EU. Last one. Let's see what happens. It's thinking about it. It's thinking about it. It's thinking about it. The domain name service is trying to figure this one out. It's registered, but it's not a website. You get the difference between those two? It's registered, but it's not a website. Oh, that's right. There are things on the internet that don't serve web. That's why it's sitting there. Because in fact, when I put that in there, the browser assumes that I meant this. And that there is nobody answering to. Because it's assumed to be port 80. Computer servers have port numbers on their internet interface. Oh, this would be 443, excuse me. 80 is non-encrypted, 443 is HTTPS. But that you don't usually see that because if you put the S in, the browser knows to do it automatically. But what if it's simply that and not a web connection? Then it exists. It's registered. But it's not going to, oh, let's see if we can ping it. PING 91 195 241 232. Yep, there's a server there with that address, and it will say, yes, I'm alive, but whatever it is, it's not a web server. It intentionally is not doing that web pages. It's something else. This all got started with me reading this article and noticing that a featured link went to a Politico, and I couldn't understand what this was about. And then when I looked, I saw it's in the EU and they're under a different set of laws. And then that made me think, what about some of the other big names? So I just had some fun. Steve A. before you, still curious as ever, playing around with them. And by the way, I'm going to repeat what I said before. Can you see how ragged it is? The opportunities for them to break in one way or another are endless, even without AI to help them now. Steve A. before you, just a retired genius, saying see you at 73.